The break that we're currently in is tough for the New York Rangers. It's tough for the New York Rangers because this was a team that had already put up more points on the board than last season or the year before. They were 37, 28, and 5 at the time of the break, 79 points, and they looked fantastic. They and the Flyers, both in that Metro division, looked great. So this was tough. Last year, they were 32, 36, and 14, 78 points. The year before, 34, 39, and 9, 77 points. And what the Rangers have done over the last couple of years has been impressive enough that it's now being seen as kind of the template. Like, okay, this full-on rebuild, tear everything out and start from the bottom, probably not the best way to go in today's NHL. The best way to go is probably a retool where you move out some guys who are veterans you're not planning on keeping around or you can't afford to keep around. You know you're going to miss the playoffs for a bit. You let your season ticket holders know that there won't be any playoffs the next couple of years in all likelihood, but you're going to try to stay competitive. And you build up your future assets, and then you go for it again. And so the idea is that the Rangers next season, very good chance of going for it here. The Rangers, they have cap space. Now that's going to get eaten up by the restricted free agents pretty darn quickly, but they do have some cap space, and again, it's all relative to whatever's going to come out of this, what the cap's going to look like, and what we're going to see. Now, their best contract is clearly Mika Zibanejad. So when we're talking about their turnaround this year and how well they've looked, Mika Zibanejad is a big part of that. He makes $5.35 million until 2022. So that is an excellent cap hit for a guy who this year really took that next step. Last year he was very good. This year, he was all-worldly. Like, he was absolutely fantastic. So Zibanejad takes that step, and that's really, really important for the Rangers going forward. Their worst contract, you know what? It's a toss-up. Now, all three of them are up next year. But the combined cost, and again, we'll get into it, the combined cost is about $20 million. Stahl, $5.7 million. Probably not going to make that much money after this contract is expired next year. Brendan Smith, $4.35 million until next year. Now, Smith, Rangers fans will point out, has played forward, he's played fourth line, he's played on the defense, he's played both, and he's been useful. But again, that cap hit's probably high, and when you combine Stahl and Smith, they make a combined $10 million. And then you've got Lundqvist, and the really uncomfortable conversation that the Rangers are going to be having with probably internally and likely with Henrik, if it hasn't started already, which is that $8.5 million cap hit next year, there's probably not a lot of interest in the Rangers in holding on to him. As we saw with Georgiev not being moved, when there was some speculation Georgiev could be available. But for the Rangers, they're saying Georgiev and Shesterkin, that's going to be the goaltending tandem, and why not? So that would mean Lundqvist's the odd man out. He could retire, which would take that $8.5 million off the cap. He would forfeit $8.5 million. So if we're looking at a reason why Lundqvist might want to come back, it could be for $8.5 million. But if his concern is the Rangers ahead of himself, he could very well retire, forfeit that money in the name of trying to, in the name of seeing the Rangers get better. And maybe they give him a front office job instead, and he gets some kind of a front office or scouting job instead. But you have to think with the three of them combined to $18.5 million, that's a lot of money coming off the books next year. So that all leads into their UFAs and RFAs. Their UFAs, not a problem. Jesper Fast and Greg McKegg, that's it. I went through the list a couple of times. Yeah, Bolesky's coming off. Haley's coming off. These weren't major players. So, Bolesky's been buried in the minors. He was just a money pickup from the Bruins who were paying Bolesky too much money, but that's a whole other contract for another team. And so the Rangers took advantage of the Bruins in that one, and Fast and McKegg are the only UFAs. They can hold on to both if they want to. McKegg will probably sign for league minimum. You have to think that Jesper Fast would make a decent amount of money, but he's not going to kill them. There's $67.1 million spent. Doesn't go up by a ton with him. But Ryan Strome had pretty good chemistry with Panarin. And he did pretty darn well this year. And so Ryan Strome, odds are the Rangers want to hold on to him, and he probably wants to stay with the Rangers. This is the best Strome has ever looked in his career. So he's going to want to stay there, I would think. How much that costs, that's going to be tricky. Now, every restricted free agent of note has arbitration rights. So again, arbitration rights meaning that they can sit down with an arbitrator And each side makes their arguments as to why they should make the amount of money or shouldn't make the amount of money that's being offered or that they want. And it's a bad situation. It's something players and team alike don't really enjoy. They want to stay away from it. So this does cause more deals to get made. And so we'll see how much these guys end up getting paid, because the Rangers aren't going to want to go to arbitration. Brendan Lemieux, arbitration rights as well. And we'll see what happens with him. I like Lemieux. I know. He does cross the line on occasion, and he gets that honestly through genetics and all, but he's a good scrappy forward, and I think there's more scoring upside there than he's shown to this stage in his career. Di Giuseppe is also arbitration rights, restricted free agent. I would think they can just probably sign him for league minimum. Might even be a two-way. Probably a one-way contract at this stage, though, for him. But either way, Di Giuseppe, he if he wants to stay with the Rangers, and if they want to keep him, that should be just fine. D'Angelo's going to make some money. So last year he signs for cheap, $950K, right? And cheap contract for him considering the season he had last year. And I said, what a bargain contract. And this year he's better than that. So you have to think they're going to sit down with him, and it would have to probably be a 4-year contract considering the last 2 years he's put up, and probably a pretty rich contract that will lead into a lot of what they have left here. Let's just say for argument's sake, the cap's $84 million. Just use that number, and they have $17 million left. You have to think D'Angelo's going to eat up a large amount of that. I wouldn't say half, but who knows? With the way contracts are right now, I have no idea what D'Angelo's worth. And the tricky part with D'Angelo was this a career year? Is he going to follow that up next year with another year like this, or are we going to see him fall back? There's the question. And Georgiev, arbitration rights for him, of course, as well. And he deserves somewhat of a raise. And I've been a fan of Georgiev's the whole way through. When everybody was talking about Shesterkin, I kept saying, well, Georgiev's pretty good too, so you don't just throw him out. And certainly it doesn't look like they're going to. It looks like it'll be Georgiev and Shesterkin next year, which is great, fantastic. The Rangers' goaltending should not be a problem all year next season. And honestly, if they can hold on to the restricted free agents, this is a pretty good team. Really a pretty good team. And they've done it the right way. And this is why they're the blueprint right now. At least that's what I've been seeing through various media, that they're being considered kind of the blueprint. And the big question mark on the board here is Elias Andersson. What do they do with him in the offseason? Like, he's still got something left of a contract, and he's got to be considered to be a guy who has some potential, but what's that worth? How much is it worth to the Rangers? He's clearly done as a Ranger, but where does he go? What's going to happen? Who's going to pick him up? And that's the question with Andersson, and that's one thing that looms over this team, if it's anything, is what do you do with Andersson? I think outside of that, I think they're in pretty decent shape, especially with Zibanejad under contract till 2022. This may be a really, really key date for guys who are under contract till 2022. It may be then that we see the money in the NHL really get back. With this stoppage we're dealing with right now, odds are the NHL loses, and sports in general is going to lose a lot, but the NHL, for the purpose of this video, this is discussing an NHL team, and the NHL is going to lose a ton of money. So 2022 may be where some of that money starts coming back, and we start seeing salaries get back to where they should be. And Zibanejad may very well benefit that his contract expires in 2022 and not in 2021. It'll be very interesting to see how all this shakes out financially. Now, rookie watch, Vitaly Kravtsov. Kravtsov is an interesting one in that he's had some bad reports along the way, some good reports along the way, but where scouting seems to have him right now is that he's on an upswing, and he's doing pretty well. So for Kravtsov, we'll see how that turns out for him. And Kravtsov's going to be an interesting one to watch. Does he make the team? Does he fill in for one of these guys? If let's say they let Jesper Fast go, or they trade his rights somewhere else, and they decide that they're going to put Kravtsov in the lineup. We'll see what they do. Igor Shesterkin is still technically a rookie next year. He's going to be odds-on favorite for the Calder, right? I mean, I think we can all agree that, as long as Shesterkin hasn't played too many games this season, if they don't prorate something and go, well, now we're going to drag down how many games you have to have played to be considered still a rookie because we didn't finish the season. Whatever they do, right? I would think Shesterkin, if he's still legally qualified as a rookie next year, he's going to be a favorite for Calder, and I don't argue with that at all. Nils Lundqvist, who's been making some waves, he may very well push for a job. And of course, most recently, Keandre Miller, who signed a contract with the Rangers and is likely to push for a spot on the team. Defenseman out of Wisconsin. And we'll see. We'll see how well Keandre Miller plays. Because if they hold on to D'Angelo, you add Keandre Miller on an entry-level contract, which really won't eat into this, right? Because he's been signed, so that's like $900,000. So that only takes him $68 million. If Miller's ready and if he's going to be a top 4 defenseman, the Rangers could be even better. Sky's kind of the limit for the Rangers, but we'll see. Until they play the games, we don't really know. But this offseason looks way better than the last offseason. I would say this is the best the Rangers have looked going into an offseason since the early 2010s. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you're a Rangers fan, how excited are you about this upcoming season and all of that? And again, while we're in this pause, we don't know what's going to happen, but it would be kind of painful if the Rangers didn't have a chance to show us just how far they could take things in a postseason setup, because if they had made the postseason, I think they would have been very, very dangerous. But let me know your thoughts as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Remember, stay home, stay safe, keep your hands nice and clean, and we will all get through this. Thank you guys so much for everything, for all your support through this, and I will talk to you again soon.